Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, day four here at the IMC 2017 conference, brought to you by Reliability Web. I can't believe it's day four, coffee in hand. We are in the final stretch of this particular wonderful, absolutely great conference, and we've got, once again, more people to talk to, more people to pick their brains, get that content out there. I am your industry cheerleader. I am that number one podcast in the galactic space for the Industrial Talk podcast. So welcome and thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk podcast. And right now, I've got a gentleman by the name of Vincent
Mihalik.
Vincent Mihalik. I like that name. And he's with Jacobs, and he is the director of, I want to say aerospace and technology, but you do a lot more.
Yes, we certainly do. I'm a director in Jacobs Engineering, and I'm helping lead a global strategy with regard to the industrial Internet of Things. So Jacobs has a number of lines of business oriented around petroleum and chemicals, oil and gas, mining minerals, advanced aerospace, and we're at buildings and infrastructure. We are driving
pretty
that
much everything. I mean, you haven't come over to my house lately and tried to make that into a modern. Yeah, you have not.
No,
okay,
we haven't.
Never
No.
mind. Maybe
Right.
we'll contract that one out. But so Vincent, where do you come from? How did you get started, and what's your background? And just tell the listeners who you are and why you are a special guy.
I enlisted in the Navy in the 1980s, so I have over 33 years of both active and
he
reserve.
still looks 25.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep, I joined Jacobs about 4 years ago. I came out of the IT strategy industry, spent many years at Gartner, an IT strategy think tank, and we're helping to drive, like I mentioned earlier, that strategy of the Internet of Everything across all of our customers.
The Gartner's experience, and when you say think tank, you guys are just sort of dabble in the future and what you're looking at and where that comes from. Is that right?
Yeah, I specialized in emerging technology and strategy in particular.
That's cool stuff, man. Yeah. And so you said, okay, I'm ready to spread my wings. I'm going to go over to Jacobs, and with Jacobs, you found yourself into the reliability space. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Now, why? You've got this technology background. You've got this think tank background. You got, of course, the military background. What makes you get into that reliability space with Jacobs?
You know, Jacobs is a trusted advisor to many of our customers around the globe, and it's that deep domain expertise that, quite honestly, a lot of the OEMs and other technology providers just can't offer our customers that insight that it takes to actually be successful in this increasingly connected world.
You know, it's funny, I was talking to one of your colleagues, and I said, I remember Jacobs being just the sort of, and it's wrong of me, of course, because of my background, but EPC-type stuff. And this whole area of what we're talking about here in reliability, in this Internet of Things, or IoT, and the future of where this profession is going. Has Jacobs made a significant investment into being a leader in this particular field?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. Well, we've been a leader in this field since World War II, to be exact. We are the largest professional services provider for NASA, dating back to the early days of the space program. You'll find Jacobs working with high-speed Formula One race cars. Wind tunnel design. We're testing virtually every aircraft design in the world. You'll find Jacobs providing cybersecurity and analytic services to all of our customers, regardless of domain.
I mean, this is pretty incredible. When we start talking about how to backfill and one of the challenges, from what I see and in my conversations, some of the challenges that I've seen within the industrial space have been one of enticing young people to say that this is a career path that I want to pursue. And I think there's a disconnect between the realities of what happens within this industry versus what is being communicated. So I think it's a more branding, marketing type relationship, because what you're talking about specifically with Jacobs is that you guys got your fingers on all of the future type stuff, things that are really cool, and for lack of a better term, sexy, and that to me would be if I was young, I would love to be able to know more about that.
Oh, it'd be if I were coming out of college today, there'd probably no better company to join than Jacobs. I mean, we are not a product company. We are a professional services company. We're a solutions provider for all of our customers. So if you're young and you're coming out of college and you want to touch the most advanced technologies, but not just one of them, touch all of them and the ones that matter the most to our customer, because that's what we're doing. That's the opportunity space. We're developing customized solutions using a variety of technologies that are optimized for our particular customer's environment. These aren't just out-of-the-box cookie-cutter solutions. These are the ones that will make a difference in our customers' our customers' bottom line.
I mean, this is an aha moment, quite frankly, and it goes beyond what I had and call it ignorance, but what I thought of Jacobs, and that's exciting stuff. Now, if I was a young person coming out of college, does Jacobs' culture encourage that mobility, clear path? You know, I see the purpose, I understand the purpose, but is there just it's encouraged?
Absolutely. I mean, I was in Australia recently meeting with our folks in a variety of different industries, and I was actually learned something new about Jacobs that I hadn't learned before. And there's a mobility program for our young professionals coming out of college where we have projects that are ongoing that could use short-term help, and we will help relocate individuals from different parts of the world to a particular country to work on a project in Australia or over in London, or if you're in one of those countries back in the United States. So we have a mobility program within the company to move that young talent who have the ability, both from a family perspective, but they obviously have the domain expertise and subject matter expertise, so they can come and be successful on a project in an area that they had never thought they'd be able to live in before.
I'll tell you, man, who's ever out there, they've got some kids that are looking into where to go and what that profession is, I would highly recommend that you can look into Jacobs. What about a brownfield guy like me, where I'm old and crotchety and I want to go to Australia? Just kidding. It is what it is.
Right.
Hey, so let's start getting into some of the reliability stuff. And remember, anybody out there, I think they're going to be breaking from this particular conference. It's going to get a little loud. And I got book signings over here because we are in the bookstore area. So just bear with us. If it gets a little noisy, we will overcome and make sure that the content is there. Now, let's talk a little bit about what when I'm having these conversations with many of these individuals, we talk about the Internet of Things, and we talk about all of the technology that exists out there within the reliability space, and with any technology, with any new stuff, and the rapid rate of this industry. Let's talk a little bit about the security aspects of it, and how does one ensure, as a company, you start out and it's like, okay, I'm a company, and I come to you and I say, I've been looking at this reliability stuff, and I'm looking at all the technology, and I'm looking at and I'm analyzing it, and I come to you and I said, Vincent, help me. Where do we start? What do we do? What's step one, and then sort of help me through that.
Sure. I mean, if we're talking about what's that first initial step on that journey towards a more secure enterprise, an industrial enterprise, for us, it always begins with security architecture and engineering. It's really those foundational elements aligned to the business mission, understanding risk, understanding what data and what systems absolutely have to be protected at any cost, and then developing a customized solution that meets all of those variables. I mean, not everyone can afford a gold-plated solution. In some industries that have public safety or regulatory guidance, whether it be financial or medical, you may have a different perspective on cost. There may not be a threshold for that you're worried about. We have other customers that are beholden to their stockholders, and they may not have those pressures. So we may come up with more of an open, lower level of capability solution that can meet their price point, but also balance risk for them in an effective way.
It would seem to be a challenge if I came in, and I'm a business, I'm a seasoned business, and of course I've got technology that I've sort of shoehorned over a period of time. Mm-hmm. I've done this because somebody said I need to do this, and I've pulled this piece of tech into my portfolio, and there hadn't been really any strategic conversation. It was more just, yeah, I like that. Let me pull it in and get my IT people to just sort of shoehorn it in. Are you saying that if I came to you and you saw the spaghetti of technology that I have in place, that my IT group you could develop a strategy, a security and safe strategy around that at the beginning to make sure that things are working properly?
Sure. I mean, greenfield opportunities are always the easiest, but the reality is that most organizations already have technology deployed. They've bought a portfolio of different suites of technology that they've tried to integrate over time to some degree of success or another.
Customize and all of that.
Sure, no, absolutely, and we deal with that on a regular basis, and there is a process that we follow to get to that end state that's going to find the most critical data and systems that need to be secured.
And then you probably say, okay, this is your as-is state. This is what you look like, and you come in and okay, we've got it, we've mapped it out, and based off of the conversation you would have with a customer, client, whatever, you can then say, okay, I see your pain point here. This is where you're at today. This is your as-is state, and we want to go over here to your to-be state, and whatever and any reliability program, it's going to continue on. But let's say you want to get to another state of where you want to be. Do you map that all out and say, okay, we got this, we want to go here, and then, of course, the strategy around it?
Sure. The roadmap is obviously the first step in that. And we take a lot of effort in making sure that our customer is aligned with the vision that we're presenting them and making sure it meets all their expectations.
Yeah, you get the thumbs up from the client
Well, absolutely. I mean, not all data, not all systems are going to be equal. Not all data needs to be secured and analyzed in real time. Some of it can be offline and in parallel, and we help walk that customer down that path through a journey to more secure enterprise.
So really, the conversation does happen when I come and approach you, and I realize, but you also take into consideration whatever that roadmap is, a sustained type of solution. You get it to point B, whatever that might be, but then point B then goes to C and on, and there is a discipline associated with that. Do you do the whole thing?
Absolutely. I mean, we take a life cycle approach towards every project that we engage in.
We're going to have to take a break right now. I'm talking with Mr. Vincent Mihalik. I nailed it, man. Because I'm telling you, I butcher names all the time, my friend Mihalik. And we're talking specifically about security, looking at the beginning, what do we do, and really address the fact that reliability is a heavily technical discipline. And I really thank you very much for being here. We are live once again from the IMC 2017 conference, brought to you by ReliabilityWeb.com. If you have any desire to get into the reliability space, I highly recommend that you find them out on reliability.com because they've got the content. Thank you very much. Stick with us. All right, you got to mark your calendar for April 23rd through the 27th. And this is a reliability conference that is in Las Vegas, Nevada, brought to you by those wonderful people at ReliabilityWeb.com. It will have all of the great vendors that are there that are really focused and passionate on reliability, as well as the great content and education. It never ends. Those folks at ReliabilityWeb.com do a great job. Now, I will be there just like I was at the IMC 2017 conference in Bonita Springs. So if you missed that, and that was in December, you need to make this one, and it is April. Once again, April 23rd through the 27th. This is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Go out to ReliabilityWeb.com. Get all the information you can about it. I will be there. I hope to see you, and you have a wonderful day. Welcome back to the Industrial Talk Podcast. Yeah, we are broadcasting live, IMC 2017, brought to you by ReliabilityWeb.com. And you can hear in the background, there's a conference going on right to our right, and there's some awards going on. So it might get a little ruckus, and they're going to be piling out, but bear with us. We're in good shape. We are talking with Mr. Vincent Mihalik, and really intrigued about it. And now, we were talking offline there, Vincent, once again, and like I said, it's my ignorance with Jacobs. You guys have, as a company, have invested heavily into expanding your skill sets into a number of areas. Explain.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2014, we made a major acquisition. We acquired a large part of Verizon, which had some specialized network operations capability. And we're leveraging that investment in our industrial Internet of Things solution sets as we secure the networks and the data that are associated with those networks for industrial environments. We also made some acquisitions in the security architecture area and the security operations center area, and we're combining all these capabilities to be able to deliver world-class cybersecurity solutions in the industrial environment that, quite frankly, none of our competitors can claim that they do. This is not just a Me Too moment. These are some of the most sensitive networks in the world that we actually operate, maintain, and secure. And those best practices are the ones that we'll go ahead and apply to our industrial client base across the world.
So what we're going to talk about now, we're going to venture into sort of the nuts and bolts of security and nuts and bolts of how the reliability space has got to really pay attention to it, because if it's going to truly go beyond where it is today, it's going to have to recognize the necessity for strong, secure networks. Now, I'm going to point and sort of play something out here. What I've noticed at this particular conference is the rapid rate of technology. And with that rapid rate of technology, it's rare that we talk about security. It's more about, I like that technology, I'm going to stick it in place, and I'm going to go, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to be fantastic about it. But nobody ever really talks about how that technology fits in with an overall platform. So there's a dichotomy here of saying technology's great, but we forget about so the current state I see, correct me if I'm wrong, Vincent, is that there's a tremendous amount of speed at which technology, but I just see a gap in security.
Yeah, well, it's not just security. There's also a gap in analytics. We heard a lot this week about artificial intelligence, and to be quite honest, I'm not exactly sure. What I heard is reality in terms of being applied in the ways that our customers can really realize benefits from. I can tell you from our experience at Jacobs, you saw that we won the Best Overall Reliability Award here at Reliability Web in the conference this week, IMC 2017. In large part, that's predicated upon our ability to bring operational technology, the OT, with the IT to deliver the insights at the security level that our customers need. So we are today providing that physics-based analytics in real time, streaming off sensors and equipment. That's one of the reasons we won this award. But we're also then leveraging those investments I mentioned earlier to be able to provide this secure, integrated network operations security construct where we're able to take the OT, merge it with the IT, apply world-class cybersecurity capabilities to it.
I got to say, OT, what's OT?
Operational technology.
Got it.
So this is all the technology the sensors, the actuators, the pumps, all that operational technology, SCADA systems, ICS, DCS, PS,
Yeah. What's interesting is there's been a lot of buzz, and you can hear the people in the background, so ignore it. There's a ton of people. Attended conference like this, and people are very close, and they're all about talking about reliability. So some of the things that have been talked about, among others, but one of the ones that I'd like to expand upon a little bit would be the Internet of Things, or IoT, and where it is at from a life cycle point of view. I guarantee it's the beginning. And where do you see that going?
The industrial Internet of Things, and where do I see that going?
Yeah.
Well, the philosophy that we're taking with it is we have to apply the right level of analytics to deliver the insight that we need to be able to operate and maintain this equipment at an appropriate level to be able to deliver that value and get better business outcomes for our customers on an everyday basis. Does it end up in automation? Absolutely, to some degree. Does it deliver the business insights that reduce overall risk and cost at an effective balance between risk and price? Yes, absolutely, all the above.
But let's say you're talking to me, and I normally have on-site equipment that stores my data, and I can get to it, and without a doubt, it's an interesting paradox, because I can go and touch it. I can go there and I can go to my server rack and I can see it and it's there, and I can ask my IT guy to go over there and fix it or do whatever, and we're down and all that good stuff. Are you having any resistance whatsoever on adopting the IoT?
Well, if you're talking about where the actual data and technology architecture exists, we see a mix of on-premise and off-premise solutions being deployed. We see some customers that are perfectly willing to have sensors go ahead and generate data, collect data, and post it to the cloud for analytics offline, off-prem, off-country. Still on this earth, but off-country. What we do is, like I mentioned earlier, we take a technology-agnostic approach. We apply the right solution, whether that happens to be a solution where we develop an analytics and cybersecurity capability around the OT environment on the customer's premise, or it's hybrid, so that while we're doing some of that processing for maybe some of the sensitive data, we're in parallel taking offline data and performing the back-end long-term analytics offsite. We approach every project from the client's perspective, and we balance that risk. And so every single one can be customized to meet their requirements.
What are the challenges? I mean, you talk to the clients. What are the challenges? What are are there any resistance? What are the challenges?
Well, many of the challenges exist in the security environment, to be quite honest with you. And I know we were going to get there later in the podcast. I think I'll just jump right into it now.
Oh, right.
And it's really getting to, what are those basic capabilities that need to be in place. So from our perspective, we talked earlier about security architecture and engineering.
Yes.
Absolutely, you have to have that. I would add a few others to those.
Bring it on.
So we think that identity and access management, cross-domain technology, encryption of the data at rest and in transit, as well as providing those cyber security situational awareness screens are going to be key to going forward. If we're looking way out into the future, and to be honest with you, I think we're going to see it in the next 12 months or so, it's about secure process automation for industrial control systems. We already have some of these technologies.
Slow down, because I'm a neophyte. What do
Sure.
you mean by that?
So process automation in DCS, distributed
Yes.
control systems, SCADA systems.
Right.
So moving to a more software-defined, defendable architecture that doesn't have all the pins that could cause failures, that allows authenticated access by a particular user. Whether that's through public key, private key encryption, and certificate authorities. We're seeing that as the next advent. And we actually have some of this technology from vendors in our labs today. Jacobs has 4 or 5 different labs dedicated to cyber and software, industrial control systems, and data analytics. And what we're doing is we're testing these in the labs today. We're aligning them with customer requirements, and I think we're going to see those results and the necessary changes to secure those architectures available in the next 12 months or so.
Because you're looking at just in the industrial space alone with these DCS, these systems that are out there. These are sophisticated, complex operational systems
Sure.
that are developed and maintained by very large companies. Mm-hmm. And so you're saying that, hey, that system, that gargantuan system will have to change because of all of the things that are taking place within this space.
I think we're seeing added capability from new architectures coming into the market that are going to revolutionize the way security of industrial systems is achieved for our customers. And it doesn't begin and end with just process automation. I think that I mentioned earlier about identity and access management and the cross-domain technologies.
Yes.
This is absolutely key, but I would also add insider threat monitoring and capability to it. So
what do you mean by insider threat?
Well, I won't suggest that you would become an insider threat.
I'm too ugly and old.
But the reality is that the individuals, we have to vet our employees at a level we've never done before. And this is about the folks that are on the inside that have been vetted, that have the access, that can touch the systems, that in many cases have implications for health and safety of the surrounding metropolitan or geographical area, but also can expose data, financial data, personal data as well. So they have access to these systems, and being able to make sure that the right person has access to the right system
Wow.
at the right authentication at the right time is absolutely critical to this overall architecture. And in our lab that we have set up around data analytics in the CBM world, condition-based maintenance world, industrial world, that's where we're bringing the OT with the IT, and we're layering in these world-class cybersecurity capabilities. You know, the identity piece is I want to make sure that you're on the right shift, that to access the right system at the right time of day, and that you're touching that system from the right IP address and the right workstation.
Okay, here's devil's advocate. It's not in a negative sense, but we've gone down to security and defining the security requirements for in projects that I've been on many people, and saying they can do this and they can't do that, and click, 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 and do all of this stuff. And after a while, there has to be an ability to be able to maintain that level of attention to security, specifically from an inside point of view. But I find companies, because we're all about being quick and making it, just get going. I need that person. I need them in here, and they got to do whatever they need to do. They take shortcuts. But what I hear you're saying there, Vincent, that if I were to look at it, inside threat versus outside threat, I would suspect an inside threat has a higher concern for me.
Well, absolutely, especially when you have a system that's locked down with the type of security that we're talking about. And it doesn't begin and end with just the OT and the IT. You have to go back to the business systems, the HR systems. All those systems are the ones that need to be tied into this overarching solution to be able to make sure that we have fidelity with regard to the right person doing the right job.
I mean, I'm telling you, this is sort of exploding my head because as time goes on and as companies begin to and it's already happening, depend on technology to operate their facilities more and more because it's more efficient, whatever it might be.
Right.
The added pressure on security increases, and yet I don't think we are disciplined to just deal with that level of requirement from a company and sustain it. It's always about sustaining,
right,
and always about understanding the true threat. And I don't think we're there.
No.
I think it's a must, but I just don't think we're there.
Yeah, I think we need to get there. We touched earlier about, and just to make this clear, you know, the industrial environment has different domains, right? There are different technology domains. Yeah. This is not unlike what we've seen in national security systems. We hear about it all the time on the news. Yeah. It's a top secret system. Yeah. It's a secret system. It's an unclassified system that has, you know, access to the public domain. Yeah. The technology that sits between those domains, cross-domain technology, is an area where Jacobs excels. We have expertise in these areas that, quite frankly, our competitors would dream that they actually have. So being able to, and it's not just about the actual technology, it's how you configure it, it's how you integrate it, it's how you operate it that actually matters. Those policies, those best practices, that architecture applies, whether we're talking about a classified system or we're talking about an operational technology touching an IT technology system. It's all the same, and you want to be able to leverage all those best practices.
That's an incredible topic. We're going to take a break right now. Scott McKenzie with Industrial Talk, broadcasting live from IMC 2017. We've got people just sort of standing right next to us and talking and chatting and cutting business. There's a guy signing books. It is a busy conference. I want to continue to say thank you to Vincent. This is a great conversation. We'll be right back. Hey, once again, this is Scott McKenzie with Industrial Talk. If you like what you're listening to, please feel free to sign up for the free podcast as well as the blogs. I'll try to keep it all relevant to your business and hopefully be able to provide some insight into what we do at Industrial Talk and what you do as a professional. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. Welcome back to the Industrial Talk podcast. Once again, we are broadcasting live from the IMC 2017 conference and brought to you by ReliabilityWeb.com. This conference has been just absolutely wonderful. Great food, by the way, and people who are passionate about reliability. We were talking, Vincent, about analytics, and once again, outside the simple fact that you were blowing my mind in the last segment, blow my mind again on your analytics and what Jacobs is attempting to do and want to accomplish, and that sort of goes along with the future.
Yeah, sir, absolutely. So one of our labs is dedicated to condition-based maintenance operation in industrial environments, and it's not solely about that gap between OT and IT and how you manage it with security and with condition-based maintenance principles and collecting that data. The philosophy we take is that we have to be able to collect it, we have to protect it, and then we have to analyze and optimize it to provide those insights. When we talk about the analysis part of it, we're not only applying world-class engineering to the networks, as I mentioned with acquisitions like parts of Verizon and such, but we're also partnering with the technology companies that provide the analytics for the back end of the credit card companies. The example that I often give is on any given weekend, whether you're shopping at a home improvement store or you're just out at a retailer, there are billions of transactions going through the air, and they suddenly pull one out of that stream and ask for more information or a verification or validation that this transaction is accurate or that your identity is real, and that's a valid purchase. That technology, that risk technology, that framework technology is the technology that we're partnering with when we deploy our industrial solutions in our labs. That speed of the credit card swipe analytics with the fidelity that a credit card company wants is what we're deploying for our industrial customers, and we'd be happy to do a follow-up podcast on analytics and where we're headed with that.
Kaboom, man, I'm telling you. What was always concerning and what I've always experienced is that how do you bring in that young talent that looks at the world differently, who has grown up on the internet and who's consumes information in a very fast and special way. How do you entice them to come to consider an industrial profession as a career? And I got to tell you, the conversation I'm having with you on this particular podcast, it's clear. This is sexy stuff. This is pretty cool stuff, and it's not going to go away, and it's just growing. I really appreciate your time, Vincent, and I know that you're busy, and I know that you've got a lot going on, and I really thank you for your time, because this was a really good conversation. Thank you very much. Hey, how would anybody get a hold of you? So I'm a young pup, and I want to get a hold of you.
Sure, Jacobs.com is always a great way, but I'll give you my email address, which is probably the best way to get me. So it's Vincent.Mihalik, Mihalik, @Jacobs.com.
And you have no problem with that. Are you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me there as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much once again, Vincent, for your time. And we are broadcasting live from the IMC 2017 conference, and it's brought to you by Reliability Web. Thank you for joining the Industrial Talk. We will be right back. All right, I'd like to just say thank you once again to Vincent Mihalik, spending time on the Industrial Talk podcast. He was a busy man that whole week at the IMC 2017 conference. A lot going on there, and I really want to extend once again, an appreciation to those fine people at reliabilityweb.com for allowing the Industrial Talk podcast to broadcast live from there. There's going to be other great content. There's just a ton of stuff that was gathered at that conference, so please stay tuned. I also want to just once again reach out to get a shout out to those fine people at BIC Alliance, BIC Media, the whole BIC family. The Industrial Talk is all about education and keeping current. And that company, those people really keep current within the industrial space. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you go to their website and you can find out anything that's happening within the industrial space. And then finally, once again, thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk podcast. It is because of you guys that we can do this. And for me personally, I get to talk to some of the best people on earth. And finally, I'd like to thank the sponsors of the program. That would be Leaf Services LLC. That's at www.leafservicesllc.com. Piku Group and Kosmeyer Marine, all three companies are fantastic. And if you want to get something done, contact them. So, once again, have a wonderful week. Thank you very much. And I truly appreciate you joining the Industrial Talk podcast. And you will hear from me soon.